Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Weird World podcast. My name's Carrie.
Oh, I'm Emma.
I'm Dean.
And Dean's going to tell us a story, tell us some obscure historical fact.
Stop it.
Make something up out of
No.
his own.
I'm going to guess
brain.
it's about a
It's not made up.
cryptozoology.
Nope.
Thank God.
This is little known, though. Very little known, actually. I like to call it the mass murderer and the... No, hold on. I like to call it the mind reader and the mass murderer.
Okay.
Our story starts in Manville, Alberta, in Canada.
Oh, it's a Canadian episode.
It is.
Foreign.
Well, kind of. It's on July 8th, 1928.
It's an oldie.
Yeah.
Nearly a century ago.
I probably had some relatives in Canada back then.
Did you?
I mean, I do now, but
Then you probably did
Probably
then.
did then, yeah.
Fresh off the
even
boat.
more back then.
All right.
Fun.
Thanks for that, Kara.
Yeah.
The Royal Canadian Mounted Police, RCMP, received a phone call. Now, I'm assuming
A phone
that
call?
I don't know that it really was the RCMP because it's probably some dumbass American wrote this. I did a lot of sources. Only one said the RCMP. It's probably just the local police, honestly. And somebody thought, well, the police in Canada must be a Mountie. That's all they have, right? Guys on horses in red shirts? No. So the authorities were called, and the caller was frantic. The caller was a Dr. Harley Heaslip. The good doctor was at the Booher family farm about 5 miles outside Manville. That is spelled Booher. No idea. I'm going to say Booher.
Yeah,
'cause I don't
probably
wanna-
Booher.
Booher sounds
Yeah.
like Booher. She's terrible.
Wait, where did you say where Manville is?
Manville's
exactly?
about 5 miles. I'm sorry, the farm's about 5 miles outside Manville. Manville's in Alberta, not super close, but not super far from Edmonton.
Okay.
Great.
Does that help you at all?
No,
I know exactly what
East
you're
or
talking
west?
about now.
Of Edmonton? I don't
no,
know. We'll find out
is
later.
Edmonton east or west in
Canada
Canada?
is kind of in the middle.
Oh, okay. That's helpful.
That does, thank you. It's Canada's Midwest. So the caller, although they don't call it that.
And probably even colder.
Yes. The family, the Booher family, lived on their farm outside Manville with 2 hired farmhands. Heaslip begged the police to get out to the farm fast, right now. There had been murders, plural.
Uh-oh.
Quote, half of them had been murdered, Heaslip cried into the phone.
Yikes.
Constable Fred Olson, he immediately set out for the farm. When he got there, he found that Mrs. Rose Booher, also called Eunice, I'm going to call her Rose. She was kind of the family matriarch. She's the mom. She was found slumped face first onto the dining room table. She just think of her just like falling down onto the table as she's seated there at the dining room. She had a nasty bullet wound in the back of her head, or it could have been square in the upper back. Accounts vary. Throughout this, I'm going to have a few accounts vary. Most of the variation is from a 1950 article in Maclean magazine, which is kind of like, I don't know, like the Canadian Life magazine, which doesn't exist anymore, so it doesn't help many of our viewers. But, you know, a major mass circulation general interest magazine. And the guy who wrote it, a lot of things disagree with every single other source. And so most of the sources have her being shot in the back of the head.
But this article is written almost 20-something years later.
Yes, it was written 20 years later. So
Okay.
let's say she was likely shot in the back of the head.
Okay.
Oldest son, Fred, he was also dead. He was 21. He was lying nearby in the kitchen, shot either, again, once or 3 times in the head, and he was dead on the kitchen floor as he apparently was rushing into the dining room to check in
Help
on
his mom.
the gunshot.
Yeah.
Fortunately, the 2 younger Booher sisters, Dorothy and Alberta, aged 19 and 17 respectively, they had been in town that day, and so they had escaped the carnage. Dorothy had also escaped the carnage of being named Alberta, which she was doubly lucky. Alberta. I mean, Canada.
Interesting.
No. Rose's husband, Henry Booher, and his youngest son, 20-year-old Vernon Booher, had been out working on separate parts of the farm all day long and into the evening. So each was alone and not in contact with the other while this was occurring, in fact, all day long.
Okay.
Both said they had heard gunshots sometime early that evening. But this was farm country. It's kind of rural Canada, right?
Okay, hold on. I have a question. Only those two have been killed? Or are we not done?
Just pause.
Okay.
Just
Because I was going to say,
hold that thought.
that's not half so far. That's only a third.
There's also the hyperbole of someone coming to a house and finding two people dead.
Okay.
Just give Dr. Harley Heaslip a little bit of slack
Okay.
there, right?
He needs to be more
He's doing
precise in his
best.
language.
So this is rural Canada. So when they heard those gunshots, they weren't, you're used to hearing 1 or 4 gunshots in that part of the country. So it wasn't that alarming to them.
Sure. Somebody maybe had to put their dog down.
You're close to right. Foxes had been raiding farms lately, getting foul. So they thought it was just someone shooting at the foxes.
Sure.
Right.
Killing some foxes. This is someone fox killing. Just go on for the work. I'm going to give these Albertan Southern accents, by the way.
If you work on a farm, you have a southern
I
accent.
think you have to, no matter where you are. Olson, the constable, as you recall, he listened to the story from the surviving Booher men, Henry and Vernon. Son Vernon said he had been the one who found the bodies of his mother and brother inside the farmhouse. He had returned from mending a fence out in the Western 40, I have no idea, at around 8 p.m. So he said he got back to the farmhouse at 8 p.m. from doing his work. It's hard work out there in the Canadian farm.
Yeah, it is.
And he had, to his shock and horror, found his mother and brother dead. He had then called Dr. Heaslip, who raced over to the house, and then Heaslip had called the police from the house. Just before Constable Olson had got to the farmhouse, though, the sisters had returned from town. And someone, it's not clear who, I don't know if that presumes it's one of the sisters or someone maybe had gone out looking, they had spotted a third victim.
Oh.
This was Gabriel Goromby. He was a Goromby, probably not pronouncing it right. He was a farmhand. He had been shot twice in the back of the head at the bunkhouse doorway. So his body lay in the bunkhouse doorway. It's dark when they got there, right? So apparently he wasn't seen right away.
Yeah.
And I don't know how far the relation of the bunkhouse was to the main farmhouse. I don't think very far, though. So it seems likely to me, anyway, that he had probably gone out to investigate the shots and seen someone with a gun coming near him and had turned and tried to flee back into the bunkhouse when he was shot in the back of the head.
He was unsuccessful.
He was sadly unsuccessful. That's my supposition anyway. At this point, though, so Henry and Vernon get back. Constable Olson takes the story, and then Henry, the father, even with Constable Olson there in the house, sort of just blew up. He freaked out. He says, "I know who did this. Rosick. Where is Rosick? I'll kill him with my bare hands." Rosick was William Rosick. He was the second hired hand that they had working there at the farm. Henry grabbed a flashlight and he burst from the house toward the barn. He ran out toward the barn with the family and the constable chasing after him. So he was there first, and he got into the barn first. When the others got there, Henry had already found Rosick. He was lying dead on the barn floor, 2 shots in the back of his head. So it's like they got into the barn, and there's a flashlight shining on this dead body, and that's Rosick with shot in the head.
So Rosick didn't do it.
4 dead. Yeah.
Wow.
Don't you feel pretty bad now, Henry? Blaming poor Rosick? Yeah, I guess that was the logical deduction, but at least for the father of Vernon Booher anyway. So Olson, the constable, he deduced that Rose Booher must have been the first victim. She had been picking strawberries, so she had like a plate of strawberries, and she had been like picking, I guess, the stems off or just somehow messing with strawberries on the dining room table with her back to the killer, and was shot in the back of the head. So that gunshot then must have been what brought Fred, her oldest son, rushing toward the kitchen, towards the dining room to be shot in the kitchen by the killer and killed there. Seems right. I mean, that's 99.9%. That's certainly what happened. The hired hands, Olson figured, were simply in the wrong place at the wrong time. The killer must have believed they'd heard the shots. And so he went to either first the bunkhouse or first the barn and shot Goromby and then shot Rosick, or vice versa. And of course, the motivation there was just to leave no witnesses. But it appears if they're shot there, unless they're both chased into, like I said, given where Garambie was, it's likely he came out of the bunkhouse and maybe he was walking toward the house. Like, what is this gunshots about? And then was able to flee all the way back to the bunkhouse before being shot. But it's odd that, and then now there's at least 6 gunshots then, if the main sources are correct.
Yeah.
If that order is correct, when Rosick was shot in the barn. So was he, just working the barn and ignoring 6 gunshots from pretty close quarters? I don't know. Or did he flee into the barn and he was also coming out? He was able to get all the way to the barn.
Yeah, he could have been behind Garambie. And
maybe. Or maybe they split. Maybe they were both coming over and one fled to the bunkhouse and one fled to the barn. But why go inside the barn? And I don't read anything about being dragged in there, either one.
Yeah.
They appeared to be
shot where they were.
Exactly.
Maybe there was some sort of weapon he wanted to grab in the barn.
Maybe. Or at least maybe you think you're trying to find a hiding place. Maybe he even witnessed and, instead of trying to flee down the road or something like that, thinking I'll never make it, I can go hide in the barn. I don't know. There was, however, one kind of a witness that was suggestive, and that was Vernon himself. Vernon, again, the youngest son, he was the one out working, and he was who found the bodies. He claimed that he had seen Garambie, the hand, talking to 2 men just the day before. And Vernon, didn't recognize those men. He thought, are they like drifters or vagrants looking for a handout? He thought they looked kind of shady to him. He described them for the police. The police sent out like a sketch and sent out an APB, if they had APBs in Canada in 1928. Yeah. They probably, let's say they did. And at least they sent out the description to other officers, but no one ever came forward or no one ever saw these 2 drifters in the area. They were never apprehended or seen. That was the word of Vernon. So the local police, they knew this mass murder case was a little bit beyond them there in Manville, Alberta. Mm-hmm. So they called in the big boys from the big city. In this case, that was Edmonton. It's about 105 miles, Carrie, or 170 kilometers.
Thank you.
West of Manville. Does that help? Situate it for you?
Sure.
Okay. Edmonton police sent their Inspector James Hancock. He was their chief of the Bureau of Criminal Investigation. So he was a pretty big dude. This is a big case. I mean, for Alberta, having 4 people murdered in one house was a humongous case.
How big of a city is Edmonton at that time?
It's a pretty big city.
Is it?
Yeah, they had a Bureau of Criminal Investigation. That's how I know that. I don't know what the population was, but it's a good-sized city, I'm sure. He arrived at Manville the day after the horrific discovery the previous night. Hancock noted that the event was clearly not a robbery. Nothing was stolen. Couldn't have been a robbery, he presumed, which is, again, fair deduction. He also figured that since Rose was apparently calmly tending to her strawberries when she was murdered, that she probably knew the murderer. It wasn't just that she was the first. He further deduced that she likely knew him. Otherwise, she would have, if she had heard him, she would have turned around. If he was not a stranger or something, like not a stranger necessarily, but not a family member or not one of the hands or something like that, she would have turned around also, just to not be rude.
Right.
So he thought the fact that her back was still to her strawberries whenever was right behind her and shot her in the back of the head, that she must have known her killer.
Unless somebody snuck in super quietly.
True. That's very true. But his guess...
Maybe she sings while she shucks her strawberries or whatever it's called.
Okay, let's unpack that. Okay, first of all, we're talking about singing while you do things with strawberries. And then secondly, we're talking about shucking strawberries, which I don't believe...
your terminology was messing with strawberries.
Yeah.
So
better than shucking strawberries, quite frankly. Picking at?
You shuck things.
Dressing?
Gross.
Picking at. That sounds gross. She was de-seeding.
I don't think she was doing that. That would be pretty extreme.
I'll be done next year.
This is exhausting work, but someone has to do it. So going into the bunkhouse to find and kill, and the bunkhouse in the barn to kill the hands, he figured was just, that indicated to the detective, to Hancock, that the killer knew the lay of the land.
Yeah.
He knew again, the bunkhouse, maybe not so much, because if he was visible, you don't have to know where the bunkhouse is or whatever, that someone might be in there. But the barn, being inside the barn, that indicated to Hancock that he knew someone should be in that barn. I better go kill them. to him.
Perhaps.
Yeah, both are perhaps. Both are
Yeah.
fair starting points, I think. One big hurdle right away to solving the case, though, was the lack of a murder weapon. Whatever that murder weapon was, it was not there.
Yeah, they took it with them. I would.
Yeah. None was found on the scene. The police, however, did find a spent cartridge from a .303 caliber rifle. It was apparently a Lee Enfield manufactured rifle, if we want to be specific.
Sure.
Or it was a Ross military rifle, because again,
Lord.
accounts vary. Super annoying. I'm going to go with Lee Enfield rifle, because again, only the McLean's guy says it was a Ross military rifle. But it was a rifle. The family did not have such a weapon. So they're thinking maybe logically they'd think, was it a drifter then? Something like that. Maybe these two drifters that Vernon's talking about, maybe they had a rifle. Could it even have been a targeted killing? Some kind of an assassination? They didn't have a rifle, so they must have brought it with them.
Yeah.
And they took it with them when they left. That seemed odd.
Yeah.
So police checked around a little bit, though, and they had found out pretty quickly that one of the neighbors of the Boohers, his name was Charles Stevenson, his .303 rifle and a box of shells had been stolen from his house recently, a few days before.
Did he report it?
He did.
Okay.
More intriguing, though, was that the rifle that was stolen, he kept it in a closet, and even within the closet, it was out of sight. And nothing else
Was stolen.
was stolen from his house.
So it was somebody who knew where
That's
the
weird.
neighbor kept his rifle.
Yeah.
And just a rifle. It was an odd burglary, if that was a burglary.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and very
No,
lucky.
yeah.
I'll check rifle, I'll take that, and I'm
Perfect.
gone.
So it's got to be somebody that knows both families.
Sure seems like it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they're thinking this is an inside job of some sort. Suspicion naturally centered on two people. Father Henry
Yeah.
or son Vernon.
Yeah.
Yes.
Both had no alibi since they were working alone and apart from one another. The two men, however, reacted to news of the murders very, very differently. We know that husband Henry was devastated. First,
Yeah.
he wanted to go kill Rosick, and then he was sobbing. He was just, to the police, he was clearly devastated by the killings. Vernon, however, was more stoic.
Okay.
In fact, maybe a little too unmoved, thought the police. So they started asking around, as they will. The police soon found out from friends of Vernon that he had recently been fighting with his mom. He was enraged by her interference in a relationship with a local girl. In fact, they had recently broken up. And in no small part, this was due to his mother's meddling. So his mother didn't approve of this girl. She let him know it. I don't know if she let the girl know it too, whatever. She was putting her foot down about this relationship, and that really pissed off Vernon.
See, that's why I pretend to like all my kids'
She does.
significant others.
The operative word is pretend.
Do a really good job of it.
She does. She does a good job with it. She does. She's an actor. She's a natural
Yeah,
actor.
clearly.
That's what she is.
Clearly.
So that's getting intriguing. Then a married couple who also lived nearby the Booher farmhouse, they came forward and claimed that they had seen Vernon's horse heading for the Stevenson house, that's where the rifle was stolen, the Sunday previous during church services. So in other words,
that'd be a good time.
great timing. They know
Everybody's gone.
Everybody's
There's a
at
church.
Yep.
Including Charles Stevenson. They could not identify, they saw a rider, a man was riding the horse, but they could not positively identify who the rider was.
Yeah.
But they were sure that was the sorrel pony of Vernon. Sorrel's kind of a coloration.
Yes.
And so they knew that was Vernon's horse. They could recognize that.
And Vernon supposedly didn't go to church that Sunday.
I don't know. Then another witness, the guy named Scott, he came forward. I think it's the last name, by the way, not his first name. We'll just call him Todd. He came forward. He was also a neighbor. Now, remember that Vernon said he had returned at about 8 o'clock that night to find the horror?
Yeah.
Well, Scott, the neighbor, said he had stopped by at 6:30, I guess just for a visit. And guess who had answered the door at 6:30?
Vernon.
Vernon Booher.
Vernon.
Vernon told Scott that, oh, I'm sorry, no one else is home. He wasn't lying.
That's
Vernon
Yes, he
said,
was lying.
Yeah, he wasn't lying
They
because the
were
one
all
alive
home.
was home.
Jesus.
So in a sense, he wasn't lying. Vernon said, and Vernon said, "Oh yeah, no, that happened, but that was the day before my mom, etc., got killed. He's just mixing up the dates." Scott, however, said, "I'm absolutely positive it was the night of the murders."
Huh.
Well, that's just.
How much later did Scott come forward, did you say?
Soon thereafter, they started the investigation the next day. I don't know if it was a day or 2 days or what, but it was soon.
Yeah. I don't know, man. If I could be mixed up if something happened on Saturday or Sunday, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's possible to get mixed up.
It is. It's absolutely. It is. No, you're right. You're right. But remember also that 6:30 was around that time, that early evening time, when
Right.
both father and son had heard those gunshots that they chose not to investigate.
Right.
Did Scott say he heard the gunshots?
Not that I
Around
not that
the
I read,
time he
no.
was
No.
showing up?
I think remember, it's a farmhouse. So when they say neighbors, it doesn't mean they're next door.
He was coming up to the door.
No, but yes, but if it had been 5 minutes before, he wouldn't have heard them. 10 minutes before, he wouldn't have heard them. So, it could have been 6. It could have been half hour. Him early evening. It could have been 6 o'clock. It could have been 5:30.
Oh, I thought he
It could have
said
been
it was
6:30.
around 6:30.
No. I said this is around the time that the Vernon and Henry had heard the gunshots, and they said it was early evening. So I don't know if it was 5:36, 6:30, what, but Scott said he came to the house at 6:30. So if it's just 5 or 10 minutes before that, he's not going to hear the gunshots.
Okay.
Makes sense.
Police took Vernon in for questioning, but he stuck to his story.
Yeah.
I came in at 8 o'clock. I found them dead. I didn't do this. And with no murder weapon and no real physical evidence, the case was kind of stalling. So what was a Canadian investigator to do? Well, how about you call in a psychic?
I knew that.
Of course you do. Someone who can read minds and understand the psychology of a criminal mind, and that is exactly what Inspector Hancock decided to do.
Interesting.
And he legit,
Wow.
this is an Edmonton chief detective, and he says, I'm going to call in a psychic. Because it just so happened, as luck would have it, that Canada had a very famous Viennese they had a famous Viennese psychologist right there in their midst as this occurred. The esteemed, at least as he told it, Maximilian I'm going to have trouble with this name, Langsner, Langsner.
Maximilian?
Maximilian, very,
Wow.
very popular name in Austria.
Really?
Langsner was at that time demonstrating his psychic abilities and having like lectures and talks about mind reading and things like that in Vancouver. So
I know where that is.
Okay, good for you, Carrie. You hear that? So proud.
She knows where stuff is.
She knows where Vancouver. Well, she knows where Vancouver is. That's on the left side.
And I know where Quebec is too. It's on the other side.
She's like a geo-whiz.
There you
She's
go.
really smart, yeah.
Okay, all right. So
It's the middle that confuses me.
yeah, it's all the big stuff in the middle. I got you. I got you, Carrie.
The middle of our country confuses me too.
Saskatchewan.
I don't know where
Okay,
anything
good
is.
to hear. Good. All of our listeners in the quote unquote middle of the country. Carrie doesn't know anything about you. So the Maximilian Langsner had studied under none other than Sigmund Freud. So
Oh,
his
well
bona fides, his bona fides were beyond reproach, at least in 1928.
Yeah.
And that was the shizzle. Freud, of course, for our listeners, he was the father of psychoanalysis. He was right about understanding that much of human behavior rests in that complicated world of the brain and the subconscious. He was, however, wrong about pretty much everything else he said over his entire life and set back the field of psychology
Yep.
for a century?
What
maybe?
about?
It's not true that all boys want to kill their father and
bang
are in
their
love with their
mom.
mother.
Nope.
None of that. That was just Sigmund.
Just him. He was alone in that.
Yeah, he put his little weird hang-ups, and he made everything about sex and nothing
Well,
about anything else.
Him
He
and
was a-
Shakespeare. Very Shakespearean too.
Well, he kind of got it from
yeah, Carrie.
Shakespeare.
No, from Greek tragedy, actually. So it's-
Yeah.
okay, let's blame Oedipus.
Yeah.
Or whoever
There you
wrote
go.
that. I
Fuck,
forget.
Oedipus.
So
Socrates.
Langsner, however, has not stopped there by studying under the esteemed Sigmund Freud. He had visited India after that to study under yogis
Okay.
and learn the mystic ways of the East. Always a good call for the scientist. He was
good
particularly interested in how these yogis interacted with the human mind and learned to control mental processes, right? He felt, Langsner, that when under stress, the human mind sent out signals, and these signals can be read by someone who's adept at picking them up. So, and that's kind of the subject of the talks he was giving in Vancouver at the time when the Booher murders occurred. And Inspector Hancock had heard about that, so knew him from the press coverage. Because he had told everyone, by the way, in his talks, how various European police forces had tapped into his psychic abilities to help them solve crimes. The Canadian press had eaten this up, covered it extensively. Langsner said he had solved the unsolvable in Bucharest, Leipzig, and even in China and all kinds of places in between. He was this, in his telling, he was this legendary guy helping solve crimes through his psychic mind reading ability. In Berlin, for instance, he said that he had discovered a jewel thief by simply sitting and staring at the suspect until he sensed the inevitable signal from the man's mind. This signal apparently included the location of the stolen jewels, because he then went and told the police, hey, they're hidden X, whatever. The police went and found the loot hidden where he said it was hidden, arrested the culprit, and voila, Langsner was this psychic. In Langsner's telling of the story, he had solved it.
Yeah.
Is this even true?
And he had apparently performed a very similar feat just recently for the Vancouver police. They had come to him for a similar case and a similar outcome, apparently.
According to Langsner.
Yes.
Okay.
And according, I believe, according to the contemporaneous Canadian press as well. I mean, he would be huge on YouTube right now.
Yeah.
Langsner. He'd be
Yeah.
legendary. So naturally, Hancock thought Langsner would be able to help determine who may have murdered Mrs. Booher and the rest of the victims. So they sent a telegram to him. I'm assuming they didn't think at him. Or maybe it was a phone call. I don't know. Did Canada have phones in 1928? Carrie probably doesn't think so.
Well, yeah, because Dr. What's his name called the constable.
I was just teasing you, Carrie.
I know. But I'm just demonstrating my listening abilities.
That's very
Good
good,
job.
though. Yeah, without even taking notes, by the way, people. I would have taken copious notes by now.
Yes.
But Carrie, nothing. It's all up
a
here.
page and a half
It's very
at the
good.
moment.
Probably so. So Langsner came east to help out. He arrived in a few days. He was about 35 years old at the time. He was very well dressed. He was said to be this dapper Viennese, Austrian gentleman. He's also said, by the way, to look a lot like the French actor Adolphe Menjou, who was very popular at the time. You might remember him from and I have no idea what movies he was in, but he was in.
Who is he?
He's a pretty famous actor. Adolphe Menjou. He was
Well, but okay, we're talking about the 20s. Who
30s.
knows any
20s,
actors?
you're right. But he was actually at the time a pretty well-known actor. And so he looked like him a little bit. So, pretty
Heartthrobby.
dashing. Pardon?
Heartthrobby.
Yes, let's go with that.
Before the name Adolf was tarnished forever.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Bad timing for Adolphe Menjou. That's true. And he
No,
had
he
an E
was
at the end of
fine
it,
at
so he was-
28. In 28, he was fine.
Yeah, he was big. Langsner described himself for the press as, quote, a Viennese criminologist, psychologist, hypnotist, and mind reader extraordinary who spoke 16 languages fluently, consultant and advisor to the Khedive of Egypt, the Shah of Persia, and the British Foreign Office.
Of course.
So he was good
obviously.
at self-promotion anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he was a big shit. There's a picture of, he's not super dashing.
But
And he looks
he's-
a lot, that must be much older, much later in life.
Yeah, he is older here.
Okay.
That's a 20s
Carrie's
guy.
showing us pictures of Adolphe
He was born
Menjou.
in 1890.
Okay, so he
So
was
there he is
38 at
younger.
this time. There he is. He's got a mustache. He looks very French. He's
American.
He was American?
Uh-huh.
I did not know that.
Good for him.
Well, good for him. Okay, anyway, that's what he looked like.
Born in Pittsburgh,
we'll put
died
a-
in Beverly Hills.
Really? We'll put a
Yeah.
picture up of Adolph because I don't know that we're going to have pictures of Dr.
Anybody else?
Langsner. So here is how Langsner explained his method to the Edmonton police when he got there. He says, quote, well, this is very simple. You see, thought waves are just the same as waves of light or sound or wireless waves, but you must be equipped to receive these waves just as you must have a receiver to translate radio waves into words and music. I am, of course, so equipped.
Okay, he's quack.
He's Gary. He's ahead of his time, or behind. I'm not sure.
Okay.
Both.
Maybe a little both. So on the way to the farm, the Booher farm, he was driving with Hancock. Langsner expressed some unease. He said, quote, I hope it will not be too late when we get to the farm. You see, thought waves differ in their power, and of course, the thought waves of someone who has killed 4 people would be of very high intensity and would stay around the area of the crimes for a considerable period of time. So he believes in run-on sentences. But it is nearly a week now since these murders. I shall need to feel all the waves if I can.
Oh, jeez.
So he's going to go out there and just feel waves, try to sense
Okay.
some leftover waves.
Sure.
Which is what he did. And after visiting the farm, the next thing Langsner wanted to do, he wanted to go and visit Vernon Booher, who, as you recall, they had arrested him and just sort of feel him out. This is the top suspect. Let me go see what I can see with him. Just let me in the room with him. I'll do my staring thing. And not surprisingly, Hancock agreed. Said, sure, let's go for it. Because Hancock was the guy who called him in the first place.
Yeah.
So he did. He just either stood or sat right outside the cell door and just stared at Vernon Booher.
Waiting for a transmission.
Apparently so. And they said after just a few wordless minutes, Langsner said, "The rifle is unimportant. He is guilty. He admitted it to me."
Oh,
End
my
quote.
God.
Oh, wow. Why is the rifle unimportant? It's very important.
Because he doesn't know what the rifle is
Yeah,
yet.
wow.
So obviously Langsner was really good.
I mean, damn.
I think that goes without
After a
saying.
couple of minutes.
But even Hancock, he reminded the dapper doctor that they would need proof to actually charge Vernon with murder. So they really, really wanted to find that rifle. Hancock thought that was the key. If we can find the rifle, we can stick it to him.
And he thought this guy was going to lead them to the rifle.
Yes. And he also thought the rifle would lead to a confession.
Right.
Right.
From Vernon. So the police asked Langsner to go to the inquest and just sort of, tell him what he thought.
Wait, did they look under Vernon's bed?
Let's say yes.
Oh,
Let's say
man. That's the one place they didn't check.
Damn it. They rushed back to the house. No, okay.
Under the mattress?
No, damn it. They go rush back again to the house. We thought you meant under the frame, but okay, let's check. Let's say yes.
Okay.
Let's say they did. They told Langsner to pose as a journalist, I guess. I don't know if they were trying to avoid embarrassment. I don't see how, because it was,
Yeah.
Hancock had openly asked this guy to come investigate. So, but apparently it was maybe so Vernon didn't know or didn't raise any suspicions, whatever. He posed as a journalist. He went to the inquest. And by the way, if you don't know what an inquest is, am I over-explaining here? It's a sort of like a pretrial, I guess. It's like a hearing. It's in Canada and England, especially. We have them here, but not in the same way. And if there was a crime, essentially they're determined, hey, was there a crime committed, and do we think we know who did it? Typically, it's just say it was, whatever, murder by a person or persons unknown. If it's clear murder like it was in this case, they're just saying murder by person or persons unknown. So that's what they're doing here.
Okay.
It's early on. So typically they make that determination, and then the police do their investigation and go from there.
Okay.
Langsner focused on the subject, on Vernon, and said he was able to intercept some of his thoughts, as luck would have it. Again, after the inquest, he assured Hancock, he's your man. He did it. But still, Hancock said, I need more.
Right.
So now they said, why don't you go do your sitting thing a lot, more intensely. So they allowed Langsner to sit right outside Booher's cell. And he's put a chair and he sat right outside his cell. They figured he's surely going to pick up on Vernon's mental signals, and that will tell them all they need to know, which is solid reasoning. Mm-hmm. So Langsner propped his chair right outside the bars of Vernon's cell, and he just stared at him, just went to work, just looked at him the whole time, nonstop, didn't say a word. Didn't expect Vernon to say a word either. He had told Hancock that he's surely going to understand what I want to know. And one of those things is where I hid the weapon. So it's going to be impossible for him to keep that out of his mind. I'm going to pick it up, and I'm going to know where he hid the weapon. And then, if he does think these thoughts, I'll snap those thoughts out of the sphere and be able to tell you in case closed. So he went at it. He went at it for an hour, but not just an hour.
Oh, God.
Not just 2 hours, not 3, 5 hours.
Wow.
Of just staring.
Langsner stared at Vernon 5 hours straight, non-stop, just out of his reach too. Must have been,
right.
I'm assuming he thought he might come grab me. Let's scoot back a little bit. So Vernon tried to ignore him. He tried screaming at him. Oh. He, for sure, I'm sure, tried really, really, really hard to keep thoughts of where he had hidden the rifle, if he had, out of his mind.
Try to fall asleep.
I would too. I don't know what time of night it was, but it was no use. After those 5 hours, the doctor said, boom, I have it. I know where the rifle is.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
So
I'm
Langsner,
intrigued.
they gave him a pad and paper, and he sketched a diagram of the Booher family farmhouse, and he pointed where they would find the murder weapon. He said it was hidden in a clump of grass or brush or something like that, just west of the farmhouse. He said it's maybe 500 yards or so west of the farmhouse. That's where you'll find it. And in fact, that is exactly what happened.
Whoa.
Really?
The police went back to the farm. They took Langsner with them. Langsner kind of got there, checked out the lay of the land, and then he started trotting toward the barn. And the Hancock would say it was like he was hunting for a pheasant. He's like a hunting dog. He was like on the scent kind of a thing. So Hancock trailed behind him, and just as they jogged past the barn and they looked to a line of kind of marshy brush area about 140 yards past the barn, it's like, that's it. So they both started walking over there, and Hancock testified that he saw Hancock testified that he and Langsner saw the gun at the same time. He said once you got close to that brush and once you came upon it, it was right there. It was in plain sight.
Yeah.
What? Really?
And yeah. So it's like no effort to hide it, but
Right.
so I don't know if it was tossed or just chucked in some way. It's like
Yeah.
you ran out and you threw it into the brush as opposed to like digging a hole or something like
Yeah.
that. So it was done apparently pretty quickly.
Because he probably didn't have a lot of time.
Yeah. He said, Hancock said it was plainly visible from a distance of several yards. Well, gentlemen, Langsner said, there's your gun. You'll find it is the murder weapon, of course. The thought waves are always readable. Always reliable.
Oh.
So
They couldn't do, could they do fingerprints at this time?
there were no fingerprints on it,
Oh,
but they did identify it as the murder weapon.
Okay.
Now, I don't know if that means that Stevenson said that's my gun, but I never heard anything about ballistic tests. I read anything about ballistic tests, but they said that's it.
Yeah.
And it very likely was.
Yeah.
They went back, and they showed Vernon the murder weapon. They told him where they had found it, and he broke down. He confessed.
Damn.
His father and sisters were looking on in tears as he confessed to having murdered his mother
And brother.
and brother. It was
Wow.
thoroughly premeditated. He said he had sneaked out of church the Sunday before the murder and stolen the rifle. And like you said, he knew it would be gone, perfect timing.
Right.
So he sneaked out, rode his horse, his sorrel pony, to the Stevensons, took the rifle, went and hid it somewhere presumably, and and then waited a few days before he committed the act. I wonder. I don't know this for a fact. I wonder if he did that because that was the day his sisters were out of the house.
Yeah.
That's my suspicion.
Like he didn't want them to.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. He thought,
So
he thought his
doing-
mom would be there alone.
Did he do it just out of spite because he was angry at her?
Exactly. It was the
Or-
girlfriend whole
Wow.
thing. It was absolutely 100% because of the girlfriend thing.
Just leave home and go be with your stupid girlfriend.
Well, he's probably not the most mentally stable kid in the world.
He said that he had been in love with her. His mother had ruined the relationship, and he wanted to marry her, and she had broken up with him due to he blamed his mother's interference. So he stole the rifle and shot her. He tearfully swore that he had only meant to kill his mom. He had not meant to kill Fred or the farmhands. He didn't know that Fred was there in the house. He didn't know Fred was there until he rushed in, and he just reacted, turned,
Right.
shot him. And they asked why the farmhands, and he said, well, that was much more easy. He realized they must have nearby, or maybe he was just checking nearby, and he saw that when he saw that they were nearby and would have certainly heard the shots, he felt he had to kill them both to have no witnesses. That much was much more simple for him and much more like, well, duh.
Yeah.
kind of a reaction,
And he doesn't
apparently.
care about them.
No.
Yeah.
Those aren't his family.
Yeah.
So
Vernon said, quote, I want to get it all over with. I don't care if I'm hanged tomorrow. I killed Mother as she sat at the table, and then my brother Fred as he rushed into the house. I killed Gabriel Garambi in the bunkhouse and Bill when he came in from the field. It was Mother's and Fred's constant nagging at me about a girl I was crazy about that was the cause of it all. I had it planned out for some time. So apparently
Damn.
Fred had also, his older brother had also
Yeah.
died. I don't know, they thought she wasn't good enough for him or what, but
Yeah.
but still, the indication was that Fred was, like he said, Fred was an accident, but apparently Fred had also nagged him
Yeah.
about that. It was the
So
target was
would he have
wrong.
shot his sisters if they came home early from shopping? And would he have shot his dad and other brother?
I'm sure he would have.
probably, yeah.
Fred was his only brother.
Vernon.
Vernon's,
Oh, that's
well,
right.
he's not a great guy. Let's
Clearly.
be
No,
clear.
he's my least favorite.
Yeah,
Booher.
the Booher. Yeah, I agree. He's my least favorite Canadian, other than Justin Bieber. So
Oh, this Justin Bieber than him.
yes, I mean let's
I
be
feel it.
reasonable.
I get that.
Let's be honest.
I don't
about
like
that.
Drake.
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know Drake that well. I'll be
I don't know
honest
Drake
with you.
that well either.
Is that who I'm thinking of?
I don't know.
idea.
Is it who you're thinking of? Wait, you know what? Oh, we're not mind readers. That's Langsner you're thinking
Yeah,
of.
I can't. Let me just stare at you for a minute.
I'm not transmitting at the moment.
Well,
you have
if
to
you
come back
transmit, we
later.
have a chance. By the way, that could have been an immediate clue, how he did it. If the killer was like a drifter or something like that, you'd leave. You don't go track down the farmhands because they might have heard you and be able to, say, yeah, it happened right there and come in and see you or whatever. You just flee and you're not ever seen by those farmhands, so you don't really need to kill them.
Yeah.
So just the fact that the farmhands were killed where they were killed was also another clue in hindsight that it was clearly an inside job. It's someone who stayed there, who lived in that house.
Right.
So there's a trial. The mass murder trial started in September 25th, 1928 in Edmonton. That is to say about 2 months after the killings, not 2 or 10 years like it would now in the United States. After the first day of the trial, the Crown heard a rumor that Vernon had confessed to the local head of the Salvation Army, a man named Thomas Sutherland Stewart. So they tracked Stewart down, but he played hard to get. He avoided them. When they finally found him, then he wouldn't talk about it at all. So they arrested him and they forced him onto the witness stand in court.
Huh.
And he still, even then, under oath, he said, I won't say anything. He cited his vows and covenants, and he compared himself to Judas, or at least in the sense that he wasn't going to be a Judas and betray faith, something like that.
Whatever that means.
Yeah. He didn't want to it'd be a Judas to say what Vernon had said. It was said in confidence, whatever. I'm not going to do that. He refused to testify.
Is he a clergyman?
Salvation Army is a religious organization.
Yeah.
But I don't know that you're considered a clergyman.
Yeah.
He had like an adjutant general title or something like that.
Interesting.
Huh.
So I don't know that he's technically a clergyman, but he was trying to sort of.
I don't know, the whole army thing.
I don't think he
weird,
was,
too.
actually. Yeah, it's a little weird. I believe they wear epaulets, too, on their shoulders, which is even weirder.
Epaulets.
And all white.
Yeah. When told, however, that Vernon had released him from any duty, so Vernon calls his lawyer and kind of whispers, and the lawyer said, Vernon's releasing you from any kind of a duty you might feel. Then Stewart, finally, he admitted it. He said, yes, while I visited Vernon in his cell, he had asked me, quote, do you think God can forgive me after what I have done? The court went hushed.
Damn.
I mean, that seemed like a confession of murder.
Sure.
Yeah.
Vernon's defense attorney, a man named McLean, he said, no, wait, hold on. That could mean almost anything. I mean, he's not talking about those recent mass murders of his family. He meant, who knows?
About, that time he stole a pack of gum from the store.
Didn't take out the trash. That's what he meant, because he's a defense lawyer. So the prosecution called Langsner to the stand, our psychologist. And he was sort of glib and convincing. He ditched a lot of his really theatrical kind of nonsense, and he came off as a little bit more of a sober psychologist. But he did make a mistake, at least in the eyes of the judge. He mentioned he had the power of hypnosis among his other, mental talents. The defense pounced. They said, okay, wait, hold on. Maybe you hypnotized Vernon during those staring sessions, and you got him to confess these murders, and these murders were under some kind of influence of your mind through hypnosis. There was little understood what exactly that could do.
Yeah.
So the defense brought this forward, and so Langsner said, no, I'm not that good of a hypnotist. I couldn't do that. So they went and found, I don't know how they did this, but fairly quickly they found a former student of Langsner's. His name was Dr. Gessner. He was working in San Francisco. So I don't know, put the word out? I have no idea. But they found this guy Gessner, and they brought him up to Edmonton, and he testified that, no, Langsner, he was a superb hypnotist.
Oh, my
top-notch,
goodness.
one of the best.
He made everybody think they were a chicken.
Yes, he did. That was enough for the judge. He ruled that Vernon's confession to the police was inadmissible,
Oh, my goodness.
which was a cornerstone of the case.
Wow.
At the time, this was the first time in Canada a confession had been thrown out by reason of hypnotism.
Yeah.
That's what I read. I don't know if that means it's happened since then.
It's possible.
I don't know.
If it's happened
Yeah,
once.
who knows?
But they said it was the first time. Okay, well, if it's not the last, I fear for you, Canada.
The first of many.
Many times. It's happened. Of course, it's an annual occurrence now. So the trial continued. Langsner was very upfront about who he was, what he did, his methods. On the witness stand, Langsner told the jury of his visits to Vernon's cell and his whole silent stare down thing, all of that. Words were not needed since he could get all he needed to know from Vernon's thought waves, he told them. So he was saying, I'm a mind reader, and that's how I did it. It's amazing to me. I don't know.
Yeah. Well,
That they'd want him to would not let him anywhere near that court. The judge even asked Langsner if, you're a mind reader, right? And Langsner said, yeah, I am. So he asked the doctor, naturally, basically, what am I thinking right now?
Yeah.
Earlier, Langsner had talked about his past, right? And he had talked about several things he had done in his past, one of which was he had been actually arrested for assault back in Vienna. And he said, well, that was because I threw out a drunk who was insulting my wife, is what any gentleman would do, right? It was a colorful story. Everybody laughed. And so logically, you'd think, if you're going to take a guess, Maximilian, that's the guess. So the judge asked him, what am I thinking about? I'm thinking about one of the events you just testified about earlier today. What is it? And Langsner demurred. He said, well, hold on. He complained that the thought waves were like those from a radio. And with all the people and the drama in the courthouse, there was just too much static.
Yeah.
Literally static going on. So I don't know. So he was too chicken, ironically, to take that pretty obvious guess. And the judge said later, I was talking about the time he threw that drunk out of his house when he was, so come on, you would have been much more impressive, Maximilian, if you'd said that. So the defense attorney, Neil McLean, was absolutely brutal towards Langsner. He really used them against the Crown's case in his summation, his summing up there at the end.
Yeah.
He called the psychologist, quote, snake eyes. He said he was an Austrian charlatan, a disreputable convict. That was a reference back to when he'd thrown out and he'd been charged with assault. He noted that he was a foreign hypnotist, and he reminded the jury that he had been on the wrong side of World War I, which had just ended about a decade ago, and many Canadians had died during that. So
he personally did they ask
he was
him?
on the wrong side. That's all we're going to say.
How do you know that?
Because he's Austrian.
Yeah.
So he was.
Right.
He was with Austria-Hungary, with Germany, and the Ottoman Empire were the bad guys. They were the enemy in World War I. So he's going all jingoistic, sure, but he also ascribed any mind reading powers he claimed to have to just guessing. He started a sideshow act.
Yeah.
It was a mentalist, what we now call a mentalist act.
Yeah.
So McLean pulled out all the stops, but it was no use. The jury was out for only about an hour and 40 minutes, and they came back and announced Vernon's guilt.
Had the jury already heard that Vernon confessed?
Yes.
Okay.
So hold on here, but good thinking, Carrie.
Yeah, you can't take it back after
You really
after
can't.
the
So,
jury
strike
heard it.
that. Okay.
Okay, never mind.
Well, let's. I just unremembered it. Somebody did the red thing with the Men in Black. So the judge tearfully sentenced Vernon to death. He was really, broken up about it.
Tearfully?
Yeah.
Why?
That's what's sad. I don't know.
'Cause he was
He felt for
young?
the kid. He was 20.
Well,
Was it a mandatory death sentence? Why don't you just put him in jail forever?
I don't know. You'll have to ask the judge back in time.
What's
have
his
to-
name?
I don't know.
I'll email him.
So they sentenced him to hang on December 15th of that year.
Hang. Wow.
McLean, the attorney, though, he was not done. He appealed based on exactly what Carrie said. They had mentioned and talked about the confession before it was thrown out, and it was later disallowed. I demand a retrial. They gave it to him, which seems, pretty justified.
Yeah.
If that major evidence has already been talked about, you pretty much should order a new trial right when that happened. But they didn't. They kept plowing through. McLean
However-
appealed. What?
His confession was not coerced.
No, it was hypnotized, coerced, is what they ruled.
Yeah.
So yeah,
He didn't confess to Langsner. He confessed after they found the gun
yes, but he had
he
already been
wasn't-
hypnotized already
in order
so-
to find the gun.
Yes, but I guess what they said is that he was under hypnosis, so maybe there was some power of suggestion. even
Oh, so
afterwards.
he
like
never-
when they find the gun and I bring it back, you're going to confess.
Yeah.
All I say
Oh.
the word chicken scrap, and you then I don't know what it was, but
Okay.
somehow he was under the hypnotic power of Langsner,
Oh,
and,
good
and that
God.
included not just being able to read his mind, but confessing.
Okay.
So they had a retrial. It's pretty anticlimactic because Langsner, in the meantime, he had left town. So he wasn't available for the trial, so he wasn't there. The Salvation Army guy that caused all that drama by refusing to testify, he already knew he could testify, so it was much more anticlimactic. And the whole confession question had already been settled. So McLean still railed on about Langsner in absentia, so he still brought him up. And he was really angry that the authorities had even brought him into the case, calling the authorities unfit to be in their positions for doing that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
He's
You
kinda
can't
has a
really
point
disagree
there,
with
yeah.
that.
again, though, it was to no avail. And Vernon, who clearly was guilty,
Exactly.
was declared guilty a second time. Again, the judge sentenced Vernon to death, this time possibly without tears. I don't know. And when he was sentenced to death the second time, Vernon cried out, "The evidence is against me. I am not guilty."
Oh my.
Which does not indicate a grasp of logic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of the other way around,
Yeah.
Vernon. So Langsner basked in his glory. He went back to Vancouver, and he was covered extensively by the Canadian press. He would later go to Toronto and wear a disguise because he thought he was so famous. He actually, there was a famous Ambrose Small murder in Toronto around that time that I would. It's a mystery that still to this day is unsolved, and I wouldn't mind covering it in a podcast episode one of these days. But he was very minorly involved in that and supposedly investigated it but didn't get anywhere. Langsner started a show at a hotel in Vancouver to do his mind reading skills, right? For the exorbitant ticket price of $3, which is a pretty high price ticket for the time. Yeah.
Nice.
The major set piece for his show was when he showed off his ability to stop two cocks from fighting with a snap of his finger. So they'd be taken out of bags, set at each other, fight. He would snap his finger. They'd both pass out, like just go quiet. Mm-hmm. And he snapped again. They'd start fighting again. And then he'd snap again, and they'd go quiet. They'd put it back in the bags and take him off.
Wow.
So his shows were sold out. He was a good cock tamer.
Oh my God.
I have so many jokes for that I'm not going to say.
Thank
Langsner, yeah.
Your daughter's at the table.
Langsner apparently kind of took to Canada also, even after that, because he left Vancouver and he went north to research psychic abilities in the Inuit population. Don't know what happened with that. He was last heard from in 1939 as he prepared to leave for a tour of the Middle East, and then never heard from again. I don't know. I don't know. Something happened to him or something like that, or he just fell.
Probably died.
Coverage, maybe.
Polar bear got him.
In the Middle East, yes, in the Middle East.
No, before you said he was preparing to go to the Middle East.
Yeah, so okay, so
Maybe.
you assume he was in polar bear country in that. Okay, maybe,
Yeah,
maybe.
he never got off the ground.
Oh, I see. Oh, that's good.
He never
Or
made
on
it
the
to
boat
Middle
or
East.
whatever.
Right, or a polar bear snuck on the boat to the Middle East and
the
killed
Middle
him
East.
on the boat.
Yeah.
Maybe.
That's probably the most plausible.
That makes sense. I'm going to say that was Carrie's theory.
Yeah.
So Vernon Booher, you could think what happened to him?
Yeah.
Oh, he was hanged.
Yeah.
Wednesday, April 24th, 1929. Life was extinguished. Or as the guy in McLean said, April 26th. I swear to God, almost every fact, the guy in the McLean's thing had a different fact.
Really?
Everybody else had it. It was really annoying. So
Maybe he's the one that was right.
maybe. Okay.
Because you know how those internet things are. They all get
That's
it from
true.
a single source.
I know, but I don't know what the source was.
Yeah.
I don't know. A couple of the
Exactly.
sources were based on books too, including from an author I think is legit. Anyway, first, I mean, we won't do theories a little bit, but the first thing is like, did this really happen? Did he really tip them off in this way? Did he really say, "I'll find the"? There could be some kind of urban legend here where did he really go right to the gun? Did he really draw a sketch? Did he really do this? I think the answer is yes to that. This appears to be what happened. Like I said, there's reputable sources. McLean's again he may have got some facts wrong, but that had happened 22 years before that article was written. In a very reputable magazine.
Maybe when no one was paying attention, he went out and scoured the entire area and found it, and then.
I thought about that. I mean, could it just be a smart guess?
Yeah.
Absolutely. You know it has to be somewhere nearby. You know he did not have a lot of time to get rid of that gun.
Yeah.
He had to think someone, or at least in the mind of a murderer, someone must have heard this. I don't have long. I already killed him 2 hours ago. I need to call someone and get going on this thing. So, and it had to be somewhere on the farm, So he sees that clump of brush, and otherwise, flat, featureless land. He just had to be a little smarter than the average 1928 Canadian investigator.
Yeah.
That's all.
Right.
So it's possible he did make a very nice guess, and if it didn't happen, there was static.
Yeah.
I mean, every psychic always has that excuse, or there was a non-believer nearby.
Yeah.
So I thought about that too. Is it possible that Booher maybe really did confess to him with actual words, not thought waves?
Right.
And he pretended it was thought waves.
Yeah.
Very possible.
I mean,
'Cause
remember, he's talking
Vernon-
for 5 hours. He's got 5 hours of access to him.
And Vernon's not going to say, "You're lying. I told you that."
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Wait a second.
And you got to think, if someone's staring at you for 5 hours, that's an interrogation technique without hypnosis and sound waves. Like you'll get worn out.
Yeah, so it could be that, or it could have been he was a mind reader and he read thought waves.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe.
Could be.
I don't know.
We have no way of knowing.
Nope.
And again, Langsner had been out to the thought. It seems like if I read it right, he had been out to the farmhouse prior to that supposed thought wave reading, and so like he said, it could have been just
Yeah.
that's kind of an obvious place to hide it relatively.
Which tells you the
And by the way, he could have known they had checked the house, the bunkhouse, the barn. So,
Yeah.
okay, it can't be there. What am I going to guess? Well, those bushes, 500 yards away.
yeah.
right?
But why wouldn't the police have searched
That's
all
a great,
the
again,
Yeah.
smarter than an average Canadian
Yeah.
detective in 1928. I'm not bagging on Canadian detectives. That's not.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of those people aren't geniuses, so
Mm-hmm.
they didn't think of that. He did. Maybe. I don't know. And, there's even the possibility, and I think someone entertained it at the time, or at least it was brought up, was that really Charles Stevenson's weapon? Could he have gotten a Lee Enfield 303 and put that in the brush himself? Maximilian Langsner, I mean. Is it possible? Like I
Yeah.
said, as far as I can tell, there were no fingerprints, and I read nothing about ballistics.
Did he-
Whether they brought it to Stevenson and Stevenson, yeah, that's my weapon, I don't know. I didn't read that for sure, but
Yeah.
you'd think they would.
And Langsner had that information. What kind of weapon?
Yes.
It was?
Yeah, it
Okay.
was in the newspapers.
Oh, hey, I vote for that one then.
It's possible, but like I said, don't you think they would have brought it to Stevenson? But you never know. Was Stevenson kind of led, okay, we got to get this guy. This
Yeah.
is the evidence we need. We all know he did it. Charles, just say that's your gun.
Yeah.
Possibly.
Yeah.
I don't know what the right answer is for that.
Interesting.
But that's the story of the mind reader and the mass murderer.
Well, thanks for that old-timey story.
Old
Thank
time.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, a little known one. I had not heard of that until, I don't know,
I hadn't heard that
a
one
few
either,
months
yeah.
ago. So
I can't believe you haven't heard of that
I
one.
can't
It's
either.
shocking.
When I do find these kinds of things and I've never heard of it, I'm a little surprised. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yes. I'm going, well, how did I not run across that? So, yeah.
That's crazy.
So that's it, Carrie. Tell them where they can find us. I don't know her name.
No, I don't think
Weird World Podcast at Gmail and on Facebook and Instagram and Patreon and Weird World Pod on Twitter.
Okay.
Nice.
Thanks.
That's all the places.
We should probably say that at the front one of these days.
Maybe.
Why?
Because no one's listening right now.
Yes, they are.
Okay. Thank you for listening all the way through.
Thank you.
And thank you for listening next time. See you.
Bye.